Oh, no, you go first.
No, you go first. Right, enough of that nonsense.
Alright, so we are just fresh out of Crail. We've lost and won. Now, I know for a fact that my suspension is probably going to give me issues. You have traction issues.
Yeah, traction issues. Suspension's fine, it's all adjustable, so
you would have
we
beat
can
me,
work on that.
You would have beat me 3 times in a row if you didn't have traction issues. So it's time for us to go and look for a bit of expert help, a bit of guidance, I think.
Oh, we need a lot of guidance.
Yeah, we are going to go find somebody who knows Knockhill. We're back in Edinburgh. It is wet.
It's Scotland.
It's Scotland.
It's rained.
We'd like to take this moment to introduce Neil Broom. Neil is who we are appointing to be our track expert. Neil, how long have you been racing Knockhill?
5 years, but about 10 years worth of track days or whatever before that.
So when we say expert, compared to us, it's like 9 days.
Well, you find me today just getting ready for a race weekend, so it's a very, very good time to learn something. Well, you just found me. I've just finished doing the full geometry setup, which is cambers, toes, corner weights. I will check casters as well, but they never change. And also set the platform heights on the springs to get the stiffness right at the front.
Where do you normally start? I mean, is it a case of you go from front to back?
Yeah, well, actually, as you find us right here, I've just put all the corner weight scales away. But the way it works is put the car down on the corner weight scales. Mm-hmm. Like today, when I'm doing it on my own, I have to get a reading of what it weighs with me in it, right, and then use bags of sand in the car so that it all weighs up exactly right and in the right distribution.
Nice and technical.
Yeah, exactly. And then once we've got the sandbag dummy of me sat in there, then I measure ride heights at the front, and then those get adjusted. As you can see, the dampers are inboard here, so the ride heights get adjusted on these push rods. So okay, we get the height absolutely bang on. I like to think of it like a wobbly table. Oh, so if you imagine a table with one short leg, there are actually several ways to make that table level. And then you set the droops on these springs, which is basically winding preload into the springs here. Mm-hmm. This car likes to run a lot of preload. Then we go around and do cambers on all 4 corners. Now those are set via the shims that are in here. Just add and remove shims to get the cambers right. Doing toes is a little bit more involved because we use bits of box section. Yeah. But as you might notice, they have little grooves cut in them here. These grooves are exactly the same direction. We string knicker elastic between the two for just the right amount of tension.
Is this fat girl knicker elastic or like 24-inch waist knicker elastic?
I will show you the exact knicker elastic. Saucy red knicker elastic.
Wow.
Purchased from John Lewis, no less.
It's either Valentine's or Christmas come early.
Exactly. But there is a slight benefit to using red in that you trip over it less when you're doing it. So yeah, once we've got those on, it does actually form a square. But you go around, double check that it is all completely square and nothing's drifted off squins. Just measure the difference between the rear of the tyre and the front of the tyre, and that's your toe measurement.
Is it something that's a lot of trial and error?
Yeah.
And just put a little bit in here, a little bit in there, every time you're out.
I'll show you. This is my folder for, if you see the old car here. So every time we go out, we have set up notes and notes and notes and notes and notes.
Wow.
It's such a sensitive little thing that half a degree of camber here and half a mil of toe there, you really can feel on the backside. Getting the sweet spot will be the difference. It'll be half a second, and it'll be the difference between leading a race and languishing midfield.
Yeah.
Neil, a lot of people talk about corner weights. Now, to the untrained layman, Does that just mean putting a sandbag in each corner of the car? I mean, what is actual corner weighting?
Corner weighting is adjusting the platform heights and spring rates to get, I'm not going to say get them equal, because it's different for different cars. What we try and do in this, because it's a race car, is we just worry about getting the fronts equal. Right. It's nice to get the rears as equal as possible as well, but on the basis that when I'm turning in, I'm still hard on the brakes at the point of turning. So all the weight is on the front. So whilst in a road car you might be more worried about getting your diagonals right, then in this all I really care about is what the front's doing. Knockhill is a clockwise circuit. I don't have to worry too much about having the same behaviour left and right. All I want is for the car to be as stable as possible at that point of initial turning when I'm still heavy on the brakes. It is an essential part for racing, and as I say, for the way we'd set up a race car is a little bit different to how we'd set up a road car for the track.
It does look from a distance like a Formula 1 car, but
just take the wings and splitters off, and essentially it's the same principle.
So there's no aerodynamics then, I presume?
No.
Right.
Well, you're not allowed any active any parts which are actively designed to have an aerodynamic impact.
Right, and I take it that's just to keep the series entry level
Exactly.
and keep it right.
Because otherwise, the man who spends most on wind tunnel time wins. Formula Ford has been successful for 40 plus years because it's such a simple formula. You keep the cars very, very similar, and it all comes down to just standard of preparation and size of balls of the driver.
Driver ability, yeah. Are these power capped?
They're not power capped, but the rules are very, very strict on what you can do with the engines.
Right.
The engine in this one started life in a 1974 Cortina GT. It does approximately 800 miles between rebuilds.
Jesus.
Probably about 25 laps of testing, plus about 30 laps of racing. So call that 60 laps. So Knockhill's 1.25, so that's what, about 80 miles for a race weekend.
So
maybe a wee bit
pretty
more.
much 10 races.
Yeah,
you've got a season out an engine.
And unfortunately, it's the one bit of the car that I don't build myself.
I was going to ask, it looks like you've got a pretty kitted out garage, but I'm guessing the engine rebuilds aren't something you take on.
That is a pro job, unfortunately. Yeah. I could build it myself, and then it would be 3-4 horsepower down on everyone else, and you'd just be watching other people sail past you on the straights.
Yeah.
So I mean, they specify everything from piston weight to compression ratio. Every part has to have a Skyford stamp on it. It's a very, very strict set of rules.
What's the sort of average cost? I mean, say this compared to, I don't know, say the minis or something like that.
It's surprisingly cheap, actually, which it makes me wonder why people do the saloon racing. It's I get away with, once the car's bought, I get away with about 10 grand a season, which is actually about half of what some of the guys who run minis or other saloon cars pay.
Big chunk difference then.
So yeah, it's when you race one of these, contact isn't an option. They tend to wipe off a corner, and when you touch wheels with someone else, one of you's going flying.
Top speeds, not to 60s.
Oh God! I couldn't tell you what the 0 to 60. I mean, it all depends on the gear ratios you're running. I can tell you on the current ratio set, we run a maximum of 118 at the end of the main straight at Knockhill.
Jesus.
But later in the season we'll go down to Silverstone. We'll have a different set of ratios in there, and we'll probably be more like 130 at the end of their straight down there. So, I do most of the spannering myself, certainly as far as the preparation is concerned.
Right.
But on race day, we have usually a couple of guys, Scott, Jock and Ewan, who do my running around for me. Okay. Not least because I can't do up my own seat belts. So I can't be entirely self-sufficient.